Coach, after the game film, what was your biggest takeaway from the opener?
You know, I thought we were rushed. I did. In the first half, we shot the ball obviously a lot, but it's hard to turn those shots down with the guys. I mean, we know how good a shooter Zakai is, and he couldn't make one, but I think it was a good learning opportunity for us to show him that, as competitive as he is, sometimes you're going to have to go away from it, come back to it. I thought once he made the layup, actually in the second half, that's where he really calmed back down. But it's hard to turn down shots, especially as much time as we spent on shooting it. And but again, details. For some reason, we played aggressive on the defensive end. I thought we did what we wanted to do there, but we were just rushed on the offensive end for whatever reason. And but it was good for us because I keep talking to the guys about what are we going to do on those days when we're not making threes. The first half we didn't do a great job of getting to the offensive boards. The second half we did a much better job going to get some of those misses.
How do you balance playing fast and not being rushed offensively?
That's a great question because I think when we talk about playing fast and quick, it's really with your eyes. It's really with seeing what you need to see early and advancing the ball. We spent a lot of time working on it the other day, and we'll continue to do that where we can really understand the difference in fast and being in a hurry and quick as opposed to being in a hurry. But it gets back to being able to know, I think, more and more what you're looking for at the different things that we might be doing. But we've still got, some guys have it a little bit more than others, but that's expected. The older guys, you'd expect to know it more. But the fact is, we know that we need to play with pace, and that's not all the time full throttle. Sometimes you got to throttle back, and I talked to him about, some days you're driving on the interstate, and you got to slow down and drive in the city, and especially with a point guard, he's got to be able to do that and know when to pass and know when to hold it. So, but it's just part of the process we're getting through, and I think again, as Zakai continues to understand, he's in a different role than he was a year ago, and he'll figure it out. He will.
How beneficial has this Colorado series been, going back to how quickly it was thrown together?
Well, one, I have just great respect for Tad Boyle. I mean, the way he does things, and I think anytime you're playing against his team and associated with this program, it's a compliment. And the fact is, it did come about during the COVID because we both had been pushed back against the wall that year, and it just so happened that they could get here at the time easier than we could get there, and then we agreed, home and home within Nashville. But his team, he's done an incredible job building that program, and I know he's well liked and loved there, and his teams are going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to compete. They're going to again challenge it in every area. His staff does a great job. They're going to know as much about us as we know about them. And when you play a 3-game series, you do start getting to know each other fairly well. So it'll get down to we'll have to execute because it's not going to be any secrets. They're going to know what we're trying to get done.
You guys have had a lot of success recruiting from Link Academy the last couple cycles. What kind of led to the relationships there, and I guess what do you like about recruiting guys from that particular place?
I think you go back. One, it's a compliment to our coaches that they are looking at the kind of players that a place like Lincoln Academy would like to have. And if you've ever been there, the school there at the camp is just phenomenal. I mean, they go there, they learn so much more than just basketball. There's so much going on there at the camp that it's just, the academy is terrific. But, when you go back to Julian, we had recruited him prior to him going to Link, and then obviously, when Kay committed and he was looking for a place, that was the place that we, one of the places they visited, and they knew our thoughts about it, how much we appreciated what they do there. And obviously with Cam being there, it's worked out that way. But what you get, you're going to get someone that they understand because one, they work. I mean, it's a place where they're going to be exposed to a culture that the way they are expected to represent Link Academy on and off the court, the way they go about their weight room, the conditioning there, what they do on the court. It's a terrific situation to get someone from because it's pretty much advanced in terms of what you can be looking for. So they the players you get there, you do know they come out with a pretty good idea of what they're getting ready to step into here.
Coach, what's your experience been like with NIL so far, and specifically what can you say about your partnership with Spire and how that has?
Well, I can only brag about Spire. What they've done, and I know our players who have been connected with them. It's been helpful, like you couldn't believe. And I know this, that the NIL's here to stay. That the fact that we've got a collective like Spire who's willing to help our players, and certainly it's an opportunity, I think, for our fan base to really understand what's going on in college athletics and know that the NIL is here to stay. And what I love about our players is their willingness to connect with the community. I think through Spire and the opportunities that they can bring to the table, I think it's going to be, again, just another way that our guys and I think by doing that, I think in so many ways it's going to encourage guys to want to stay in school longer. I really do. I think they're going to say, look around, and they're going to find out that being at the University of Tennessee is a great option. And not only with our terrific fan base, but again, what the university, the partnership with Spire and what's going on there, and we need to support it in every way that we can. And because again, I know what it's done for the players that have been involved, and I know how much they appreciate it. And again, I think it's going to be a great way because the longer we can keep the guys here, the more they're going to be able to connect with the community, the more one day they're going to want to give back to the university the way that we want all of our players to do when they graduate and move on to their next profession and whatever that may be. We want them to, again, be volunteers for life, and I think Spire being a part of that is going to ring true to that.
Rick, what do you know about Colorado, this year's version, and what will be key for you all on Sunday?
They're different and a little bit different, obviously. They're playing, I think, faster. And again, Tad does a lot of good stuff. They move well without the ball, do a lot of what they do off their stagger action. And so, again, them playing with more speed, I could imagine it could be, again, another fast game that we can be a part of. But we'll have to guard them, because, again, they've got players that have the ability to score points. And if you're not ready early, they're going to exploit that.
I think Tyree said after the game Monday that when he's running point, he needs to have a better feel for the pace. Just kind of how have you seen him balance that new role and also playing as quick as you guys want to?
Well, I think a good point is what he said. He knows that. I think that's the first step, and I'm not sure he's ever thought of himself as being a point guard, a facilitator, because as we know, he's a terrific scorer and has learned to play really well without the ball. But I think he's starting to understand it more. I think he's one of the players that that's starting to understand the pace, where you can't, at the point, you've got to see so much, and when you drop back, like a drop back passer, you've got different options you got to read. The same thing's true once we put the ball in the point guard's hands. He's got to read the floor quickly. And he's got to see what he might have early, what he might not. If not, that he's got to settle us into a flow, and that's where he's getting better. He's starting to understand that, as opposed to trying to keep trying to hit the home run pass, just learning sometimes, the A to B simple pass is the one that makes it all go.
What has gone so well in recruiting for you guys, and how have you been able to maintain that, I guess, when the whole staff has turned over within the last 2 years? Well,
I think it's the fact that our staff is they're connected. We don't ever put like one guy recruiting one person. They spread it out. We try to recruit as a staff. We feel once we get players here on campus, the athletic department, the university as a whole does a great job of whatever we need, whatever direction we might be going to meet someone academically, whatever. We feel like that the support we get from the entire university is just really a second to none. And then you throw in the fact that our staff, the way they, I don't think there's egos involved there, like that's my guy, that's your guy. They have made it, where it's all about Tennessee, and they cross over. I mean, there's certainly going to be lead people on each player, but again, the simple fact that we've done that over certainly a lot since I've been here, where we want everybody involved, because we really truly know that we've got coaches here that could have the opportunity to leave and become head coaches. And there's not an assistant coach in the country, for the most part, that doesn't want to be a head coach. And so with that in mind, if one guy's recruiting one player and he should leave, I mean, somewhat you're starting all over again. So that's why it's important that while we're through the recruiting process, that everybody's touching that recruit some way, somehow. And our players, I think, have done a great job to help us. We think this, that once we get them here on campus, we always say spend time with the players, ask them what it's going to be like, because we're going to be extremely transparent with you. We're going to tell you how it is, and you come, you live it, you feel it, you'll be able to know what we're about.
Before the season started, you told us that Zakai told you that he wanted to come off the bench. How was the conversation when you told him he was going to be a starter this season?
Well, you know, I think he's okay. Zakai's such a team player. You know, he's a Tennessee type guard that, you know, that he's all about the program. You know, he'll do whatever. And I do think he's still adjusting to that. I do. I really think that he's still figuring out that one, that he's going to be looked at different this year too through a scouting report. You know, most coaches, when they go through a scouting report, they're going to put an emphasis on, you know, guys that start, but obviously they're always going to talk about the guys coming off the bench as well. But there is no doubt that as the year went on last year, he was being talked about a lot more too. But now there is a totally different role if he's coming off the bench with it. But and again, I'm not sure what lineup we'll stay with all the time. I mean, we could change it at different times based on what we think. But he would be good with it. I think Tyreek, if I told him he was going to start tomorrow and Zakai's coming off the bench, I don't even think they'd flinch. Like, okay, if that's what you think we need to do, or if we started with Josiah gets healthy, if we move it around and do some. These guys are so into each other, pulling for each other, and they know that they're going to get their minutes. And I've said it before, I think if you ask most of them would they rather start or finish, I think they'd all tell you they'd rather finish as opposed to starting.
What's the definition of a Tennessee type of guard?
You know, I think a guy that I would say a couple different things. One, when you think about the kind of guy that we want, is be a guy that people wouldn't want to play against. You know, a guy that when they look at him, they say, man, that guy does whatever he has to do to help his team win. You know, if he needs to score, he scores. If he needs to, you know, be a lockdown defender, he's a lockdown defender. I think he sees the game in a way that it's all about winning, you know, and willing to sacrifice, you know, if it's scoring, whatever it may be. And but also I think it's the kind of player that everybody wants to play with. Everybody. You know, you look at that guy and say, man, I would really like to play with him because, you know, you can see he's putting it all out there. He's giving everything he's got, and he's never made it about himself. And that's because if you got guards like that, you'll have a chance.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.